3 months ago, I decided to make the ultimate zombie defense game. But not like any zombie defense game. It's from a top-down perspective. You run around blocking up entry points to the map, scavenging weapons off of bodies and trying to get the highest score to go on the global leaderboard. Oh yeah, did I mention it's fully multiplayer? And let me tell you, it did not go according to plan. So let me roll you back to the very beginning. I was scrolling through Steam looking for a new zombie game. I ended up playing yet another zombie defense, completed it, loved it, and thought, yeah, I can make that. How hard can it be? So I opened up Unreal Engine and had to come up with a name for the project. So this was the start of a beautiful journey. The game was progressing and flourishing until I broke everything. It didn't work anymore. I had to completely nuke the entire project. So let's fast forward past all of that to where we are today. Because this is Unreal Engine, you can just drag in the third person template and then pivot the camera in the sky, and then you have a top-down camera. But after that, I thought, let's make the zombies.
Hi, how are you?
So I dragged in the zombie blueprint, gave it some pathfinding, and now it picks one of these 10 animations when it's close. But if the zombies are able to damage me, surely I should be able to damage them. But instead of doing that first, I actually made a health bar. So that means every time I take damage, I take damage. And then at this moment in time, nothing actually happens. The number just keeps going down. But we'll fix that later. And now every time that the player takes damage, it also plays this sound that I made myself. So we have the player in the game, we have the zombie in the game. We have it so the player can take damage. And then also I added in a camera shake because, you know, everyone loves camera shake and camera shakes are cool. Now I feel like it's time that we add in the crosshair so the player can actually turn and face the way it wants to shoot. I'm not going to lie, this probably took about 12 hours. I'm going to tell you in quick time. So the way it works, you get the player controller, then you get the hit results into a channel, then you get the world data second, then you just find the photo located with someone the world data, get the world data second, then you just find the mouse. That easy, really. And just like that, we have a working crosshair, which turns and the player can look at the location. So we're going to do some fine tuning because I'm not actually happy with this and I'm going to add some animations. So... Right, so the animations work like this. The bottom half of the body is the player's locomotion and the top half of the body is called the overlay state. Yeah, that seems about right. The overlay state will be controlled by the player's pew-pews that the player will be holding. So for example, if he's holding the melee weapon, the top half of the body will be in a melee stance. The way I've designed it, so every weapon will just drop straight into this system. Next up, I decided to model some actual weapons.
Dun 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 dun. Little pig, let me in.
We were all thinking it. Come on. Because at this point, my character had been running around empty-handed trying not to get his brains eaten. So I made this nail gun, and honestly, it turned out way nicer than I thought it would. Then I made a baseball bat. Because sometimes you don't want to go pew-pew, sometimes you want to go bonk-bonk. I gave the nail gun to the player and tried to make it shoot.
Hi, how are you?
After giving the weapon to the player, I tried to get the trace from the weapon itself, so the logic should be sane, right? Wrong. I couldn't get it to work in any way. If it was from the barrel, the player itself, I even tried to fire it from the floor in the direction pointing upwards, where it wouldn't be 100% accurate and it was bothering me.
What the dog doing?
So I took some time away from the project, reluctant to pick it back up again. I almost gave up on the game I put so much time into. But then I had an idea. If I add the weapon's active location and rotation, make sure that the line trace from the barrel always shoots in the direction you're facing, but then also is a constant height from the floor. I tested my theory, and it worked. Not the first time, but that's the power of editing. Am I right? We've added all of this so far. Next on my list was to add physics to the zombies.
Hi, how are you?
So when they die, they can ragdoll. This actually worked first time. I just need to get a shader that once the zombie gets deleted from the world, it will fade off with some cool effect. If you actually have any ideas, please comment them down below. I also freshened up the UI to make it somewhat looking like a game instead of just boring white text. This took a while. I slapped everything together in Photoshop. I thought whilst I was at it, I might as well create the main menu, the pause menu, and the options menu. I made a menu manager blueprint which controls all the layers of all the menus so they can be brought up and dropped simultaneously. I know you don't really care about this, but visually I feel like I really outdid myself and it looks pretty good. I moved on to the dreaded part, which I've been avoiding this whole video. Multiplayer replication. Oh wait, so you're telling me Unreal Engine is actually really good for multiplayer replication? All I have to do is tick a few replicate boxes and make sure things are fired up on the client as well as the server. Alright, well, here is me ticking a few boxes, duplicating some things to make sure it fires on the server and the client. Yeah, works first time. So let's slap this silly Billy with a gun and start shooting some Zeds. The first multiplayer test with a friend didn't go to plan. Neither did the second. Or the third. But eventually we were able to run around and hit some zombies after I bashed my keyboard a few times, again. And now you can simultaneously run around and shoot zombies with your friends, if you have any. And that's everything I've managed to build so far for Barricade Breakout. Zombies that actually chase you, guns that sort of hit things, multiplayer that sometimes works, and a UI that doesn't make me cry anymore. Honestly, this project nearly defeated me 3 times, but every time it breaks, I somehow piece it back together and it gets better. If you want to see more of this chaotic mess of a zombie game to see where it goes next, hit subscribe, because the next devlog is going to have textures and props, different zombie types, and hopefully no more nervous breakdowns. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.